Hey everyone, sorry I'm late with the video this week. I was not feeling well last weekend and really going to get started this week, and I've been so behind on grading, so I've been pretty busy with that, and I had a late day at work today as well, so I'm getting started late tonight even recording this. So my apologies, but I will be trying to um, give you a good introduction to arrays, array lists, and enum types. So let's start with arrays. Let's talk about arrays. In my post on the developer forum, I talk about arrays like they are an egg carton. And so let's actually create an egg carton array. And I'm going to create another class inside of my class. You shouldn't do this, but for the purposes of example, I'm going to. We'll call it an egg. And let's just have them be eggs. That's fine. There's no properties to it or anything. We can add those later if we wanted. But let's create a new egg array, and let's do that by calling the type of the array we want, right? So if we wanted a single egg, we'd say egg e gets new egg, right? And it's going to complain because this needs to be a static class, which I don't think. Okay, yeah. Yeah, don't worry about it, the static nature of this class. It's only because this is a static method. So, but anyways, if we wanted to create an egg e, we could do that. If you wanted to create an egg array, we'd say almost the same thing. We'd say egg, and then we'd put these little brackets saying I'm creating an array of eggs. I'm going to call it egg carton. So again, variable name, just like I called my single egg e. Call my array of eggs egg carton, and it's going to get a new egg array, and we have to put a size in there. If we don't put a size in there, Java won't like it because it won't know how much memory to allocate for all of our eggs. So that's how we create arrays in Java. And if you want to know in the back end, like I said, this is actually going to create 12 spots in memory for our eggs to be put whenever we create a new egg object. And the way we put new egg objects into this array is we reference the specific spot we want the egg. So if we want an egg in the first spot, which is 0 indexed in Java and every programming language, we'll say egg carton at position 0 gets a new egg. And we can do that for every position. And we can even do it in a loop. And I'll do a for loop. And the cool thing about having an array is I know the size already, so I can just say for every spot in the egg carton, so egg carton.length gets me the total length of that egg carton, I can put an egg in that spot. So that's how that's one way you can fill up an array, right? But notice we're always referring to a specific spot in the array, whether it's the 0th spot or the ith spot. We're always explicitly saying, I want to put this egg in this spot. That's because we already know exactly how many spots we have and how many eggs, well, and I guess where they're going to go. So that's arrays, right? You can use custom objects or even Java objects. I could make a string array. I can make an int array. I can make an array of any type. And then to access the egg at a specific, and let me just quickly create a egg number. And then a getter for it, and a setter. Let me just do this the easy way. Okay, so if I wanted to access, and let me create a constructor really quick. Oops, I have that backwards. So whenever I create a new egg, if I pass in a number here, like I, then that egg will get assigned that number. And to access an egg at a specific location, I'm going to say I'm going to get my egg carton variable, which is the array, and I'm going to say go get me the egg at position 5. And I'm going to get the egg number because there's nothing else that's going to identify this. And so egg number at position 5 should be the 5th egg because again the egg number at position 0 will be 0 because of this constructor. And so if I run this, this is running a different program, so let me just quickly, I had to switch out the main class, so now this one will run. So you can see it prints out egg number 5. So that's what I would have expected. So that's arrays and how you work with arrays. So array lists are different, they're dynamic. In my example, I used train car, so let's do that. And I'll create a variable car number and then add the getter and setter. Oh, whoops, this needs to be an int. Okay, and then add the getter and setter, and then I'll add a constructor and a constructor that takes a variable. Perfect. Okay, so the train car is almost exactly like egg. Actually, it is exactly like egg, but it's a different class to demonstrate the different way that arrays are, or array lists are from arrays. So in Java, list is an interface. Actually, you know what? We're going to go simple. We're just going to talk about array lists. So again, I'm declaring a type. So much like I said, I have an array of eggs. Now I'm going to say I have an array list of type train car. So a different way of defining it than we're used to. Usually we put the variable or the variable type and then the name. So in this way we are putting the variable type. The variable type is actually an array list, but we need to say what is going to be in the array list in a different way than we would in a regular array. So this is in these kind of angled brackets. These are called generics in Java, and there's just a way of saying that everything in this array list is going to be of type train car. And so I'm going to call this a train, and call the constructor in a different way than we would call, again, an array constructor. We don't have to put a size, and we can put train car in here again. Java 7 required it. Java 8 now no longer needs you to put what type it is in the constructor, since you said what type it was in the declaration. So you can leave those second angle brackets blank. But we still need those parentheses saying we're calling the default constructor. Right? In my train car, you can see I have a default constructor. There's empty parentheses. And then I have a constructor that takes a parameter. There are different array list constructors that take different parameters, but we're just going to use the default one. So what this does in memory is it actually sets up just the empty array list reference in memory, right? There's an actual array list starting point in memory, but there's no objects in there and no space for those objects in memory. And if we ever wanted to create an object in memory, we'll do, we can use the add method on the array list, right? My array list variable name is train, so I'm calling train, and I'm going to add a new train car. Of course, if you have a train car to add, so if I declared a train car up here, maybe I'll call this the engine. Whoops. and this is going to be I'm going to call this the 0th train car because everything's 0 indexed. I could put the engine in here, right? Because that's a train car to be added. I could not add anything besides a train. So I couldn't add my E, which is this egg variable up here. I can't add that because the train must have train cars. It can't have eggs. So can't add eggs, but we can add a new train car, and this will be my first train car, or second train car at index 1. And so what this does in memory is it actually is going to create the train car variable and give it a new spot in memory, but that spot is literally just a placeholder for any objects that go in this list. And then I'm going to create a new train car called engine, and that's going to go somewhere in memory. And then when I add the engine to my train list, array list, what it does is in my train list, I just create a pointer to the engine, to the same engine object in memory as the one that I can refer to as engine. And so, so it's just kind of a pointer at it saying, okay, my next element is right here. And then when I add another train car, it says, okay, my element after that is over here. And so it kind of links all of your elements together. And then as you drop items, it just removes that piece of the link and, you know, adjusts accordingly. So if you drop the end one, then you just drop it off. If you drop the first one, then the one that was second now becomes first. And if you drop one in the middle, it takes that one out and joins the two that were on either side and gets those to be the next consecutive ones. And to access the train at any specific point, I can say train.get, and you can see the parameter to this get method is index, and it returns the element at the specified position in the list. So if I get the train at position 0, that's going to be my engine instance. And so, yeah. There's no, I guess, easy way to demonstrate it with the example that I have now. But this train.getZero and this engine are the exact same object in memory. And actually, I could probably demonstrate that by doing a system out. And so I'll do that really quickly. I'm going to say instance. This is my engine instance. And then this is my list instance. And if I execute this, you can see this is kind of Java gibberish, but you can see this is the memory location on my computer that these objects are at, and they're the exact same. Another way to demonstrate that would be to say, okay, dot get carnum dot get carnum, and so if I set this train car to be the number 4, right? This is not the index where it's at. This is just the train car number that I'm arbitrarily assigning it. In fact, let's just make that a really high number, like 100, just to be sure. So if I run this, you can see it's 100 and 100, which is great. And now if I change one, it should change both. So if I say train.get 0, which is the position 0, which is where my engine is, if I set the car num to 5 from 100, and then print out both of these again, you'll see, since they're both references to the exact same car, it will change them both, even though I've only changed, it looks like I've only changed one. So if I run that, you can see they're both 100, and now they're both 5. So that's lists, or ArrayLists, which is a specific implementation of the list interface. If you want to learn more about the list interface and all the subclasses that, or the classes that implement the list interface, you can Google that yourself. And then I will post another video on enums, and I'll do that because this video is getting long and it'll take me forever to upload. So I hope this gets you started, and go ahead and play with this code yourself. I'll post this code if anyone wants me to. No, I'll just post this code actually to the developer forum.